Hey guys, welcome. This podcast is a little bit heavier than normal. I want to talk about activism while being an entrepreneur. This has been a very relevant conversation over the past week. I am recording this on Tuesday, June 2nd. It has been 8 days since the untimely and tragic passing of George Floyd in Minnesota at the hand of police brutality, which has caused so many of emotions ranging from anger and rage to hopelessness and mourning his loss. So how do we as entrepreneurs navigate this in a way that not only honors those who are fighting the battle? In the case of me as a white male, how do I come alongside the people that are being affected by this, in this case, African Americans? And how do I not make it look like I'm trying to capitalize or make myself look good by standing up for what's right? I'm gonna talk, and I'm gonna share my heart. I'm gonna be a little vulnerable on this podcast episode, and I'd love for you to give me to just kind of put aside I'd love you to listen with an open heart. So let's dive in. All right, so one of the things that I want to just get to right away, that is the quote unquote elephant in the room, as many people talk about, is the fact that politics and business simply do not mix most of the time. So when you have a cause that you really believe in, make sure that you believe in it so much that you're willing to lose clients over it. You'll notice that I never talk about the presidential candidate or any other political candidate that I endorse or support, because quite frankly, as soon as I say this is who I'm for, half of my audience disagrees with me. It's just the way that things are. It's give or take half and half. And I'm not willing to risk my business and the livelihood of my employees for a political candidate, no matter how strongly I believe in them or don't believe in the opposing candidate. So you have to, every time you step out in a way to stand up for a movement that is political in nature, just know that you are going to lose clients and followers that don't agree with either the stance that you're taking or how strong of a stance that you're taking. You have to be okay with that. I think the best way to move forward when you are deciding to step out and be an activist or take a stand for a cause that you believe in, the first thing to do is identify this is, and it just I write this down on a piece of paper. This is what I wrote down. I said, I'm standing up for the African American community. I am standing against police brutality. And I wrote down, I'm willing to lose clients because of this. And I need to make sure that I come across as compassionate. I need to make sure that I come across as supporting my African American brothers and sisters as they fight this. And I need to make sure that I do not come across like I am trying to capitalize from this in any way. There's not going to be a George Floyd sale or like a Black History Month sale. I'm not doing any of that because for me, it would be gross and ick. It doesn't apply to me. I'm not an African American. And so I just don't think that that sort of promotion fits my brand, and I'm not going to do it. And so one of the first things I did when I stepped out is I related the story to me, and I made a post showing a photo of me next to George Floyd. And I took a selfie of me, and there was a photo of him posted of him taking a selfie. And I said, this is the selfie of two girl dads, one on the left, that was me, and one on the right, that was George. And, you can see the post on my Instagram or my Facebook page. But I related it to me and just, how unfortunate what happened was, and where I stand, that I stand against police brutality, and that I don't believe all cops are bad. It's one of the things I did not want to do was I didn't want to give people the impression that I thought all cops are bad. It was just those four and the others but you know what I mean. So I needed to be careful to make sure that I did not alienate people, because that's not what I'm about, first of all, and it's not going to help anybody. That's going to cause polarization with absolutely no positive on the other side of that. So that was the first thing I did, was relate my story to his. The second thing that I did was simply ask how I can help. I made a post and I talked about how I can assist, and so when you're standing on the side of an issue, and in this case, I'm standing on the side supporting my African American brothers and sisters. But when you're standing on the side of an issue, one of the things that you could do to take a stand and just show your support is ask, how can I help this cause? How can I help this person? And that's what I did. I just asked how I could help. I didn't try to, put after the George Floyd post, how I shared how bummed I was that this whole thing happened. I didn't post any more about it. I didn't talk about the protests. I didn't talk about any of that stuff. I decided to keep out of it. Not post any more opinions about the reactions people were having to George's death. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. I'm just saying that's what I did. I'm trying to navigate and just make sure I'm not making noise for the sake of making noise. I wanted to make sure that if I had something to say, that it was relatable to what was happening, and I wanted to make sure that what I was saying lined up with my personal beliefs. And I also represent, I have 16 employees. I wanted to make sure that what I say represents them well. I want to make sure that what I say represents my family well. And I didn't really have a message to share about the protests and all the other reactions that were going on. Me and my family decided to attend a local protest, but I didn't post about that on my business page because I didn't think it was necessary. And so, that's how I am moving forward. Now, this one was kind of an easy one because, everyone's against police brutality, right? So it's, this one was an easy one to navigate. There's others that aren't so easy, and quite frankly, I stay out of it. I'll throw out an example just for the sake of the conversation. So one of the other political issues that has come out that I have not spoken about publicly, and I'm not going to state my stance on this podcast either. One of the things that people are talking about is just how people are reacting to the coronavirus lockdown. Unfortunately, that is a political issue now. And so I personally do not state my opinion on my business page or my Instagram account because, one, the coronavirus lockdowns don't affect us. We can work remote without any issues. So we're not being negatively impacted by what's happening. Number two, we don't talk about it because, quite frankly, there's nothing we can do about it. So there's no protest to attend or anything like that. And there's really no win. There's no winning because this is a government issue. This is not something that can be influenced by the population. At least that's what I believe. So we decided not to talk about it. And there's many other things that have come up. Issues ranging from large to small that I just don't talk about. You're not going to see me talk about the presidential elections except to encourage people to go out to vote. You're not going to see me endorse any candidates, local, state, or national. You'll just see me encourage people to vote in our local elections because that's as far of an activist that I want to be. Now, when it comes to other issues that are not as hot button, we take a stand and we go all in with both feet. For example, feeding the hungry, helping rebuild hit places that are hit by national disasters. I mean, those are all things that we are happy and we are excited to take part in and have a positive contribution to. But you'll notice that when we do talk about that, we take a very we're positive towards the change. We don't speak negatively about any of the leadership that is in charge. We make sure that we're talking about how we can help and assist. We don't tear down, which is a big underlying thing. We simply don't tear down politicians, leaders, people in the political stance or statements that we make. I've been in business for 17 years. I started this business when George W. Bush was in charge. Barack Obama was president for 8 of those years. Donald Trump has been president for the last 3. I have not made a statement, positive or negative, on my business page representing the branding group about any of the presidents, even though I have positive things to say about all 3 and negative things to say about all 3. I just don't. I stay out of it, and I will continue to stay out of it because that's just not a stand that I'm going to take as a business leader. If we were to sit down and have coffee, I'd be happy to chat about it, but I'm not going to post about it on my Facebook page, Instagram, or my podcast. So what I want to encourage you to do as an entrepreneur, as an activist, is make sure that the stands that you're taking, if they're going to lose you clients, that you're okay with them losing you clients. And I would advise you, strongly advise you, not to take a stand around people, but to take a stand around movements. I would encourage you to build up and not tear down. And I would encourage you to, when you do decide to support, let other people know what you are supporting as far as these positive building movements so that they can come and support you. You can be a trailblazer in a time of pain, and you can help, you can be a part of the solution. I'd love your feedback. I'd love to be told where you don't agree with where I'm coming from. I love those types of conversations. And I'd love to be told where you do agree with me. I hope that this podcast got you thinking. I appreciate you, and I look forward to our next conversation where we dive back into marketing.